الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وله، أما بعد، فنتابع مع هذه الوقفات الرمضانية في سورة العنكبوت. We'll continue with those benefits that we're taking from Surat Al-Ankaboot during this blessed month of Ramadan. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: يعذب من يشاء ويرحم من يشاء. وذلك بعد قول الله تعالى: إن الله على كل شيء قدير. يعذب من يشاء ويرحم من يشاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the meaning of those ayat. Allah is over everything, is competent. He punishes whom He wills and gives mercy to whom He wills. فهو سبحانه وتعالى المنفرد بالحكم الجزائي، وهو إثابة الطائعين ورحمتهم وتعذيب العاصين والتنكيل بهم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who has the right to judge the people and who judges the people. He rewards the obedient ones and gives them mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He punishes the disobedient ones, the disbelievers. يعذب من يشاء ويرحم من يشاء وإليه تقلبون. He punishes whom He wills and gives mercy to whom He wills, and to Him you will return. أي ترجعون إلى الدار التي بها تجري عليكم أحكام عذابه ورحمته، فاكتسبوا في هذه الدار ما هو من أسباب رحمته من الطاعات. يعني اكتسبوا في هذه الدنيا. إذا عرف الإنسان أنه ينقلب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى ويرجع إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى وأن إليه مرجعه، فينبغي عليه أن يحرص على أن يعمل من الطاعات، وأن يفعل ما يكون سببا لنجاته. So, and to Him you will return, meaning you will return to that place and that time and that to the hereafter, in which either He gives you from His mercy or punishes you. And so this is a reminder for us to prepare for that day by doing the things and by taking the means for receiving the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being far away from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ولهذا ينبغي على الإنسان كما قلنا أن يحرص على فعل الطاعات. اليوم عمل بلا حساب، وغدا حساب بلا عمل، حساب ولا عمل. So it is upon us to increase in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in this life we can work. There's work, there's actions in this life, and there is no judgment. And after the person dies comes the judgment. At that point and at that time, the judgment comes, and there's no actions. The person will not be able to return and do righteous good deeds. This is the time in which he sees his actions. إذا انصرف فإذا يعني بعد موت الإنسان يتبعه، كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه يتبعه ماله وأهله وعمله، فيذهب المال والأهل، بل ويسمع صوت نعالهم، قرع نعالهم، ويبقى معه عمله. فعلينا أن نعمر قبورنا بالعمل الصالح. So, as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned that after a person dies and is buried, three things follow him to his grave: his wealth, his family, and his actions. After he is buried, his wealth and his family will leave. And as a matter of fact, Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that he will hear the footsteps of his family after they bury him and leave him. He will hear their footsteps. And what remains with us is our actions. So now is the day, now is the time to work for that day, to prepare and to plan for that day by doing righteous good deeds, staying away from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يعذب من يشاء ويرحم من يشاء وإليه تقلبون. He punishes whom He wills and gives mercy to whom He wills, and to Him you will return. وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُعْجِزِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي السَّمَاءِ وَمَا لَكُمْ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. You cannot failure to Allah on earth or in the heavens. And you have no one other than Allah. You have no protector and no supporter other than Allah or besides Allah. وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُعْجِزِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. أي يا أيها المكذبون المتجرئون على المعاصي، لا تحسبوا أنه مغفول عنكم أو أنكم معجزون لله في الأرض ولا في السماء، فلا تغرنكم قدرتكم وما زينت لكم أنفسكم وخدعتكم من النجاة من عذاب الله، فلستم بمعجزين الله في جميع أقطار العالم. وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير. ما لكم من دون الله من ولي يتولاكم فيحصل لكم مصالح دينكم ودنياكم، ولا نصير ينصركم فيدفع عنكم المكاره. So you cannot outrun Allah. You cannot cause failure to Allah in the heaven, on earth or in the heavens. Meaning this is addressing those who belie the messengers, those who disbelieve, those who transgress, and the wrongdoers, the sinners, disobedient ones. Do not think that you will be ignored, or that you can outrun Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or cause failure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth or in the heavens. Do not be deceived by your ability or your strength, or that with your own selves try to lie to you and trick you that you will be saved from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot outrun Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of where you are and how strong you are. You cannot outrun the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot escape from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have no supporter and no ally who can protect you and who can bring for you any benefit in your worldly affairs or in your religion. You have no supporter who can aid you by removing from you any harm. ثم قال الله تعالى: والذين كفروا بآيات الله ولقائه أولئك يئسوا من رحمتي وأولئك لهم عذاب أليم. يخبر تعالى من هم الذين زال عنهم الخير وحصل لهم الشر، وأنهم الذين كفروا به وبرسله وبما جاءوا به وكذبوا بلقاء الله فليس عندهم إلا الدنيا، فلذلك قدموا على ما أقدموا عليه من الشرك والمعاصي، لأنه ليس في قلوبهم ما يخوفهم من عاقبة ذلك. ولهذا قال: أولئك يئسوا من رحمتي، أي فلذلك لم يعملوا سببا واحدا يحصلون به الرحمة أو يحصلون به الرحمة، وإلا لو طمعوا في رحمته لعملوا لذلك أعمالا. والإياس من رحمة الله من أعظم المحاذير، وهو نوعان: إياس الكفار منها وتركهم جميع سبب وجميع أسباب ما يقربهم منها، وإياس العصاة بسبب كثرة معاصيهم كثرة جناياتهم فأوحشتهم فملكت قلوبهم وأحدثت لهم الإياس، يعني اليأس من رحمة الله. والذين كفروا بآيات الله ولقائه أولئك يئسوا من رحمتي وأولئك لهم عذاب أليم، أي عذاب مؤلم موجع. كأن هذه الآيات يعني معترضات بين كلام إبراهيم عليه السلام لقومه وردهم عليه، والله أعلم بذلك. يعني من أهل العلم من قال أن هذا ليس من كلام إبراهيم، ومنهم من قال أنه من كلام إبراهيم عليه السلام لقومه. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said what means those who disbelieve in the verses and the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the meaning with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then those are the ones who despair from my mercy, and to them is a severe punishment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the disbelievers, about those who have no good, those who disbelieve, those who deny the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who disbelieve in Allah, disbelieve in the meeting with Allah, those who disbelieve in the prophets and the messengers of Allah, those who disbelieve in the books of Allah, and disbelieve in the hereafter, that they despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they deny the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that causes them and makes them come towards the disbelief and the sins and the disobedience and the wrongdoing, because there is nothing in their hearts that prevents them from doing that. Those are the ones who despaired from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For that, they do nothing to try to receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if they were hopeful for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they would act upon that. They would act upon and they would do the things that bring forth the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them. And the despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is of two types. There's the despair of the disbelievers, and those they do nothing, of course, because of their disbelief. There's nothing that they do that brings for them the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the specific mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives to His believing servants. And there's the despair of the sinners and their wrongdoers, who do sins and disobedience and major sins. And those, of course, first of all, this is from the tricks of the shaitan, to make the people despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from the causes of it is indulging in sins and disobedience and doing different types of sins and disobedience, to the point that the person starts despairing from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, this is from the whispers of the shaitan and the tricks of the shaitan upon the son of Adam. And so those, they despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to them is a severe punishment, meaning a punishment that is strong and severe from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those ayat, those few ayat that we mentioned in this class as well as the previous class, there is a difference of opinion between the scholars of tafsir. Are they from the statements of Ibrahim alayhi salam to his people, or are they general verses in regards to these meanings? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to us the response of the people to Ibrahim alayhi salam after he called them to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ونكتفي بهذا المقدار وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.